All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Icons. If you guys are listening to this on replay, I have the
All
biggest
right.
smile
Hello,
across my
everybody.
face.
Welcome.
And I am so excited because we have a very special guest that I got to meet personally about a year ago now at this point in Orlando, Florida at Cynthia's dance event. Cynthia's been on the podcast, and I was so grateful to meet Miss Sammy Wonder, the relationship queen, the feminine polarity expert. My phone and my things are going so off right now. I apologize. We're gonna edit that out for the replays. Um, to meet Sammy Wonder in person is such a gift because ever since then, I have been able to follow her work, see her thought processes behind relationships, masculine and feminine polarity, how to get the ring, how to attract a high power, high quality masculine man. And it's not even just the education and wisdom that she has, but it's also witnessing her embodiment too, which is one of my favorite things about this work is that when you find somebody who truly deeply embodies their work, practices what they preach, walks their walk, and get to learn from them and just be exposed to them and watch them live, you learn so much just simply by observing. And it's just been so fun over this last year to be able to witness you, Sammy. So I'm so grateful, so appreciative of your time, and so excited to give everybody that is a part of my community your magic. So welcome to Icons. Thank you for being here with me.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction, and so happy to be here and so happy to know you.
Yes. Okay. So I have a lot to get through. We already started kind of going through it before we hit go live. I would love to know though, just for those that don't know you, because you've supported like over 500 engagements, 500 relationships, you've served thousands and thousands of people across the world. Like that isn't an easy feat. It's not just like, hey, I'm going to get you into a relationship or like help you, lock in a hinge date. You're actually helping so many women and so many couples across the world go from single to happily married. And that is really incredible. So I'm curious, like, how did you get into this work?
Yes, so I think there are two sides to the story. The first one is my own personal transformation in my love life. So, believe it or not, I was totally struggling with guys, with men in my dating years. This is almost 13 years ago now. But I moved to Germany on a full scholarship for my master's in public policy. And that is when, I had seen a lot of conflict in my parents' marriage. And so, funnily, a lot of people, when they see those kind of painful relationships, they give up on love or they want to avoid love. But it had the opposite impact on me. It made me realize already as a young woman that this aspect of your life is really the thing that must work. Like everywhere else, you get like a third chance, a fourth chance. You fail, you rise up, you learn from your mistakes. But seeing both my parents being such wonderful individuals and then coming home and not talking to each other or not being able to help scream at each other every time they started talking to each other, I saw so much pain and disappointment in their eyes and so much loneliness. And this was while they were succeeding so well at their careers. And I was always an A level student, always a gold medalist, coming first in class. And sometimes even that was not enough to feel happiness at home. Like it just felt like if you are surrounded by a relationship which is not thriving, loving, kind, gentle, exciting, it bogs you down in all aspects of your life. And so already at 21, Ava, I was so intent on finding the right man. This is so funny. And then I started dating, and it was a disaster, like ghosting men, fizzling men, hot and cold, on and off connections, people just wanting to get into your pants. And my umbrella explanation for all those experiences was, oh, they're just intimidated by my brains and my success. And I think that is the running story, the running narrative for a lot of strong, successful women out there, which is men can't handle my brains, my opinions, my success, and therefore I don't have the success that I want in my love life. And maybe it's just a waiting game. For me, that waiting game stopped when a guy came into my life that was so successful. He was much older, he really had his act together. And we had a great connection already at 21. Like, I was like, oh my God, I have met like the man of my dreams. And he's so successful. He was a New York-based lawyer. We met at Columbia University while I was giving a paper there. And that connection was like a 10 on 10 at every level, emotionally, physically, the chemistry, in like emotional connection. And I thought I had met the person that I was going to marry. And then when a few months in that connection, he started to sort of dwindle in his effort and disappeared on me. And then basically told me that you're a great girl, but I just don't feel it for you and can't give you what you want. I think that was the moment that brought me down to my knees. That was the moment when I was ready to become a man hater. I was ready to become the woman who will achieve everything in life and be super successful and show these men their place and just give up on love. And then I remember waking up the next morning and going, no, you're not going to do this. You're going to figure it out. You're going to be a good student, like you are at everything you decide to learn and study. And so, at some level, I think that man was a gift in my life. And I look back at him with so much love because without him, I wouldn't be here in a amazing, incredible marriage with my husband, my beautiful home, and really showing women that they get to have it all. And it's not about this or that, it's about having both. And so, long story short, I went on a personal healing journey myself to understand what it takes for ambitious, successful, intelligent women in today's landscape to succeed in their love lives. And I read every book that you can imagine, did so many courses, and ended up meeting my husband within a year of changing the way I was showing up in dating and in relationships. It was a massive inner transformation. And then when Chris and I were married, he proposed within 9 months of dating. When we got married, we moved to Paris. He was working at the European Space Agency. And then I saw this ad come up on Facebook that said, do you have a gift to share with the world? Do you have a message that has changed your life? And would you like to share it with the world? And do you know the way to do that professionally is to train as a coach? Would you like to train as a coach? And let's just say that was the start. And ever since then, there's been no looking back. I've built an 8-figure love coaching brand across 90 countries of the world. We've helped over 1,100 women get married, proposals, engaged, be in happy relationships. And these are just the reported numbers. The real numbers are way bigger because so many people, get the results just with my digital programs on my website. And I truly believe I am living my gift on this planet and I'm doing exactly what I was born to do, which is just an incredible feeling to live in day after day.
I honestly, just listening to you talk, listening to your story, listening to where you have come from and where you are now, like full body chills. I want to cry because it's just so beautiful and something that is really so meaningful to so many people. And like you said, it's like if we don't have loving, sweet relationships where we feel safe in those relationships, where we feel like we can lean in and soften into another person, like we're missing the point of life. Like, if we don't have someone to share our success and our happiness and our joy and our failures and our struggles with, then it's just a very lonely life. So I feel you so big on what you've shared. And I love your story so much. It always makes me so happy. And also, I find it so cool that as you started doing the healing work, everything started coming to you so fast. Your husband came to you so fast. The engagement came to you so fast. So I want to talk to you. And I think this is a fun place to start with your theory on getting the ring, because you have a little bit of a different theory than most of society as it relates to dating, relationships, getting engaged. And I feel it's really refreshing.
Absolutely. So the BBC and the Daily Mail called me the Get the Ring coach back in 2018. It was incredible. I think it changed my business overnight. I remember waking up and like just having all these global podcasts and New Zealand radio and CNBC wanting to talk to me. So I think a lot of people would agree that my take is extremely refreshing, is one way to put it. And I think extremely empowering for women, another way to put it. So basically, what I talk about is that skipping the girlfriend stage. So, talking about going from dating a guy, being courted by a guy, to saying yes to a ring. And I think this whole girlfriend concept is a concept that is favoring men and not favoring women. Now, of course, before people make up their assumptions about me being against the girlfriend concept, I do want to explain that being a girlfriend is not a problem if that's what you want to be. What I'm trying to say here is that if you want to be wife, you don't have to go through the girlfriend stage, which is very different, right? Like there are clients that I work with in my Elevate group coaching program where we help women, over 6 months to attract an empowered man. And then we also have a relationships group where we help women to get the ring and then, get married and, like all the beautiful, wonderful things that women want. We do that in the relationships group. And what I show women is that maybe you're in your 40s and 50s and you don't want to do this girlfriend thing that you did when you were back in university, right? Like we've done that in our college days, but we don't need to do that if we are in our childbearing years. We want to have a family and we know that whether we like it or we don't, like age is a factor for women, especially when we're looking at fertility and family building. Now, there are some women who've been to 3 marriages, 4 marriages, they've had nasty divorces. They literally don't care about getting married. For that woman, the girlfriend status is an extremely convenient, great status. But for the woman who wants to get married and is saying yes to being girlfriend, now the dilemma already starts at the first level. Like, what does it mean to be girlfriend? So for the man, it is an exclusive ticket to sleep with you. And for the woman in her head, yes, she's going to sleep with him, but hopefully she's going to become wife one day and get the ring. Now, this is where the different expectations of men and women already clash at the very front end because the man is going into it wanting to test drive the woman, whereas the woman is going in wanting to get the ring. And so, what this does is that a lot of women in modern society think that girlfriend is the prize. And so they date a good guy, they like him, there's attraction. But instead of like holding off with exclusivity, because they know they're looking for a husband, they start to see exclusivity as the prize. Like, oh my God, he asked me to be his girlfriend. I said yes. Like, now my life has changed. Yay. Because she's thinking that the fastest way to become a wife is to become his girlfriend. But he's thinking, yeah, I get to sleep with a hot woman and we get to like enjoy our time together. And he's not thinking wife. Now, are there rare exceptions where a man is thinking wife when he makes you a girlfriend? Of course. Like there's always going to be those exceptions. But when I've been doing this for 10 years now, I've seen so many stories. And I can say when we come to the middle of the bell curve, most relationships are for the now, they're not forever. They are for the now. So if you're a woman who's looking for the forever, my work shows you how to skip the girlfriend stage and go straight from dating a guy to being a wife. And it's controversial for many people. They're like, how do you become a wife without like being in a relationship? And what they don't understand is that men are either thinking about a future with you or they're not thinking about a future with you. And there are catalysts that I talk about in the dating process that will actually force a man to think about the future with you or to get the hell out of your life and stop wasting your time so that a better man can come in and give you the kind of commitment you desire.
Do you feel like this approach requires more communication up front than kind of the, let's say, like more traditional dating to girlfriend to maybe engagement and marriage down the road? Like, does it require a woman to be much stronger in her communication up front in order to set kind of the expectations?
Okay, so first and foremost, we have to see that, as I said, I've served over 5,000 clients by now and done 5,000 plus coaching hours. And I can guarantee that 8 out of 10 relationships, and I'm sure if somebody were to dig up the stats on this, they would confirm this, do not end up in an engagement. And that's why you see a lot of women in their primary childbearing years switching from 1 2 year relationship to another 3 year relationship to another 4 year relationship. The woman is always hoping for the ring, and the ring never comes. In fact, I remember a client who said that she woke up one morning, was in love with her boyfriend of 7 years when he just sipped his coffee and he said, Jennifer, I don't think I'm going to marry you. So if that's what you're looking for, I think you should go find somebody else. And that's when she
Wow.
joined, and that's when she joined Elevate, right? Like in total shock. And of course, within a year, she's now happily married and she followed our process, dated till the ring. So, in terms of communication, I think the word I'm going to use is courage.
Hmm.
Because it really requires you to stand for what you believe in. And you're going to come across a lot of guys who are not going to believe in what you're saying because it is the harder path to take, so to speak. The easier path for most men to take is to get an easy girlfriend that they can have sex with and who is not nagging them for a ring and is quietly censoring herself and sitting and waiting and hoping one day he's going to get up and propose. That is, of course, the preferred option, right? But I work with high powered women and I know they have courage. And what I tell them to do is in the beginning stages to just date rotationally. Okay. So, again, this is a concept that got me on Time Magazine. Today, of course, we're living in an era where everyone's talking about it. But back in 2016 and 17, I was on Time Magazine talking about this. And what I ask my clients to do is rotational date in early dating, which is you're never seeing just one man. Rotational dating is not rotational sleeping. So you don't have to sleep around or, feel like a slut or feel like you're being an undignified woman. I would never ask my clients to do that unless somebody wants to do it, in which case, no judgment. And basically, what you do is you wait for the guy to bring up the relationship talk. So when, let's just say you're dating 3 guys, you're getting to know them emotionally, you're connecting with them, you're going for walks in the park. Like I have clients now that I'm working with in Elevate, and they go for walks in Notting Hill and they just like go for a coffee, they go for a lunch date in between their work day. And so you get to know men. You're not sleeping around, you get to know different types of men. And what happens is like you get a lot of people at the top end of the funnel. And then just like in your business, the number of people who actually make it to day 2, day 3 already starts to reduce drastically. And then you build a connection with maybe 2 men to the 2 month mark, the 3 month mark. And then you wait for the guy to bring up the relationship talk. So you don't want to step ahead, get in your masculine. Who are we? What are we? What are your feelings for me? We don't do that in the Sammy Wonder world. We know that if we show up embodied in our feminine energy, if we're magnetic, if we know what we want, the right men will want us for it, for our energy. And at some point, the masculine would want to define and lock you down and, structure and label the relationship, especially if he's an emotionally available man. If he's an unavailable man, he will love the not labeling, okay? But then he'll want sex. So there are ways to, look at it so that you're on the right track with the right person. So let's just say the guy brings up the relationship talk. Who are we? Where are we going? Do you want to be my girlfriend? Do you want to be my girlfriend? Now, this is where you say, and I teach my clients to say, oh, I did that. I'm really flattered by the offer. I did that back in college. And now, I am looking for my forever person, not just the one for now, but the one forever. And I don't want to put pressure on you. I know we're very early on in the process, but until you know that I'm the one and not just the one for now, I would prefer to just keep seeing you and, keeping my options open. I remember giving this exact speech to Christopher, okay, my husband. And I remember the look on his face. It's like, what? What the hell? Like, doesn't make any sense, okay? And I remember walking back from that date. We were 2 months in. He asked me to be his girlfriend. And we were walking back from that date, and there was complete silence. He didn't say a word to me. And if I'm very honest, my little girl inside, like 7-year-old Sammy, was like, this is lost. I've lost him. Okay, I was so scared. And yet I'm so proud of myself because I knew that the right guy will stay. And there's nothing illogical about what I'm asking for. I'm not putting pressure. I'm not giving ultimatums. I'm just saying, I don't want to be test driven for wife. I know I am deserving of wife status. And I was what, like 23, 24 back then, right? So I
So
was like,
epic.
oh, like I was like, I deserve it. And also, like, what do I tell my parents? This is my boyfriend. Like, I come from India. It's a traditional, upbringing. And in traditional societies, not just like India or Asia, I would say just traditional societies, let's like just roll back 90 years. This whole girlfriend concept is a new concept. It's a modern dating concept. When men, even in the 50s, wanted a woman, they put a ring on her finger. Even Beyonce sings, if you like it, put a ring on it, right? So I think we have been sold a concept that is not in our favor. And as women, we need to stand up for ourselves and say, I want more, I'm deserving of more, and there's nothing wrong with me asking for it if I'm not putting the pressure on you. So I wasn't saying to Chris, otherwise I'll break up with you, or, otherwise, decide by tomorrow, or, there was no ultimatums. There was just like, take all the time you need. But then
Mhm.
it's only fair that I keep my options open. And then I remember he dropped me home. He said, okay, bye. And I didn't hear from him for like 3 days. And then I was like, I've lost the guy. I've lost the guy. And I knew that I would be sad if I lost him because I really liked him. Like I really liked him. And then he wrote me a message on the fourth day. I remember seeing his face and just going, oh, and saying that, hey, what we spoke about the last weekend, I would like to meet you and understand more where you're coming from and like how this works. Because in like the way I understand, you can't know if somebody's right for you if you're not in a relationship with them. And I said, I'm very happy to meet you and, explain. So the communication bit comes in. But I think the courage bit comes in first. And believing in yourself and believing in your deservingness of what you're looking for comes in first.
I love that so much. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that requires bravery and courage, but like you said, just like feeling so proud of yourself for like raising the standard of what you desire and what you're worthy of and what you're deserving of. It is so empowering. Um, how do you redefine a relationship if you're already girlfriend status and want to move from girlfriend to wifey? How do you make that shift when you have been kind of operating by modern dating rules?
Yes, absolutely. So I think that is the story of a lot of women in Elevate who join us, especially the relationships group, because they're already in healthy relationships, but it's not moving forward to the commitment stage, which is what they want. And sometimes in life, what I found, like, for example, with my client Elise, she was in a relationship with her boyfriend for 4 years. And they were totally in love and they were living together and life was really good. He had a really good job and they were from Canada and they were settled in the USA together. And everything was great, great sex, good money, lifestyle. And he just wouldn't propose. He just wouldn't propose. And there was always a reason when she talked about it, there was always a reason. It's like, it's going to happen when the time is right. Why the pressure? We're so good. Why change a winning team? I want to be more settled in my career. I want to make more money. Before I think about those things, I'm not ready yet ready, but you're going to be the woman I do it for once I am ready. Oh my God, I could like write a list of reasons, you
I'm
know?
like, I feel like every woman right now listening to this is like, holy shit, I've heard all of that.
Exactly, right? And the thing is that women buy into this. And are we allowed to swear on your podcast?
Yeah. Hmm.
It's like bullshit, right? Like as an expert, I hear the same story in like a different version of the story from different women, but it's all the same story for me, which is like intimacy fears, he's not ready to commit. Okay. And I don't care two hoots about what the logical reason is. Like I know that commitment is a decision of the heart. It has nothing to do with your head. And when a man is not ready to commit, he's just going to give you all these horrible BS reasons from his head. And you're going to fall into the trap of believing in those reasons, which is like the worst thing ever because the good girl in you wants to believe his good intentions, but that is really a trap. And I remember with Elise, um, I told her to go to her boyfriend. Girls, ladies, divas, please don't do this by yourself. You'll need support. So just like saying it up front, don't try to do this. You'll mess it up and it will like literally there is a certain level of micromanagement of emotions and every relationship is different. Every man is different. Every woman is different. So please like just join Elevate. If you have the resources, don't try to do this by yourself. It's like the WWE announcement. Like don't try
Literally though,
on your by yourself at home. Okay.
literally though, anything could
Yeah.
go wrong. You could say one thing wrong and just like explosion and everything crumbles. So,
Yeah, exactly. Like disclaimer, don't try this on your own, but I'm going to reveal what I did with Elise. And of course, with every client, the situation is different. The man is different. The woman is different. Like you have to give customized recommendations, which is also what we do inside Elevate. Like we follow our clients' stories. So with Elise, what I told her was to take, like, there's been something on my heart. I would like to speak with you about it. When is a good time? So like make a devoted time for this. So he said, sure, let's talk. And then they sat down, no wine involved, no alcohol involved, just calmly. And she said, look, I love you. You love me. When I was getting into this relationship, I knew that I wanted you to be my forever person, not just the person for now. And these are the scripts I gave her in her situation. They had been together for 4 years. And my biological clock is running out. I am 38 years old. I would like to have a baby or two. And I have everything else. We have everything else. And he said, there you go again. I told you I wasn't ready. Now, we had already prepared Elise for this conversation. So she said, in which case, if you are not ready, then this is not going to work anymore for me because I am not going to give up on my dream of having a family and being a wife just because you're not ready right now. He's like, I don't know who filled this BS in your head. Like, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? And truth be told, she had a lot of resistance as well. Like she said, Sammy, I paid like $8,000 to be in your program or $9,000 to be in your program because I wanted the ring and I wanted the guy. And the way this is looking, it's like I'm losing the guy. So I'm not getting what I want. I was like, just listen, just like listen. You either trust or you don't when you're on the edge, right? And we have 1,100 plus success stories. So whenever my clients are in resistance, I'm like, go read the testimonials, just like go get your energy together. Um, so basically they broke up. He was adamant he wouldn't propose. And he was so much in his head, he was so much in his ego. So you can see that a man is not in his heart, he's in his ego. When he is not vulnerable, right? Like if you are losing the woman you love and you love her so much, you would rather just put a ring on the finger and just propose and just get on with life, right? Like you love her. You just said you love her. Everything is great. But it's the being in the head. And so we saw he was totally in his head and he packed his bags. He left the country. He changed jobs. He went to Canada. Everything was over. Elise was in the program crying away every day. I miss him. And we told her, go no contact. And we said to her, basically, the idea here is, Ava, a commitment is an emotional decision. It is not a rational decision. And like men propose to women in wars, men marry women in wars, men write letters to women on pigeon backs in wars. When a man is feeling it for a woman, putting the ring on her finger is like him winning the jackpot. But when he's in resistance, it feels like he's doing her a favor when he's giving her the ring. And this is the dynamic we have to turn around. We have to get the man in a place of really understanding the value of the woman in his life and be in touch with the loss he's going to face emotionally when she's not there. So this is a 4-year relationship. And I said to her, if he really loves you, he can't forget you so easily. This is like, now we're talking the range of emotions, right? When I like somebody, when I love somebody, tomorrow if I was angry with Chris and I went quiet on him or no contact on him, he's going to turn airlines and aeroplanes and internet web and like find me, like where did she, like he's not going to just forget me. So I told her if there is strength in your bond, he's going to find a way to contact you. Until then, the best thing you can do is to stay in your own dignity and respect yourself as a woman because you've given this relationship everything. You've given all the wife benefits. You sleep with him, you cook together, like you put his name on your insurance papers, you loan him money if he needs it. Like you didn't hold anything back. And now, if he wants to lose this because his head is not in alignment with his heart, then that's his loss. And I'm not kidding. 8 weeks later, she opened the door, the doorbell rang, and he was standing there with his suitcase again and back. And he got down on his knees and he proposed at the door. And he said, I have been the biggest fool. And in the meanwhile, she was not taking any calls, not receiving any messages. And I remember this one moment where she posted in the Facebook group saying, Sammy, he wrote me an email. I forgot to block him on the email. What should I do? I'm like, do nothing. We don't respond. We're in no contact. He knows what we want. He's not giving it. There is nothing else to talk about. Literally, you've had those conversations 500 times and they did not yield results. So just listen. So that's just one story. Eva, I have 40 different stories like this to tell. And that's why they call me the Get the Ring coach, because of course, every relationship is different. Every man is different. Every woman is different. The flavor of the equation, the context is different. But my work is about the woman, A, knowing that she deserves a commitment, and B, understanding that commitment is not a head-based logical process for men, it's an emotional process. And so the woman has to be brave enough to create enough tension for the man to want to go from his head to his heart and connect with his vulnerability and really miss that person. Of course, for different people, this would look different. Not every relationship has to lead to a breakup, you know. But with this guy, this was a situation that he was so much in his resistance that he decided to be in his ego and leave. And basically, it's a test, right? It's a test. Will she come after me? Will she beg? Will she plead? And when a woman is not doing all of those things, she doesn't realize it in the moment, but she becomes even more attractive and even more high value in a man's eyes. And every man wants a partner that is high value and that knows who knows what they want and are willing to stand in their power, which is what we are afraid of as women, right? Like we all want to be treated as queens, but we don't want to stand in our power because standing in your power is uncomfortable.
Mhm. Talk to me about like the difference between standing in your power and taking on a more masculine, like overpowering energy, because I know that like I personally sometimes struggle with shutting off that like leader energy because I have to do it all day long in my business. And obviously, a lot of the women that listen to this podcast are in similar situations. So, can you talk a little bit about like the difference between standing in your power versus like being overpowering in a
That's
relationship?
a great question. So I define feminine energy, there are so many definitions out there. I define feminine energy as soft on the outside, strong on the inside. And most women have it the opposite. Most high-powered women are strong on the outside, soft on the inside. So like coconut, or even a cactus. In Elevate, we call it the cactus queen, like she's got thorns everywhere. Like, don't come near me. I'm really strong. I'm like, don't mess with me. I know what I want. And then inside it's like this juicy, gooey, sensitive heart, which is like, oh, somebody love me. Somebody see me for who I am. So we have the cactus in Elevate. We also have the coconut in Elevate. Like she's like the CEO, boss babe, high powered. Like she's really in her masculine, like hard not to crack. And then still inside there is that soft heart, right? Emotions, feelings, the desire to be desired, desire to be wanted, desire to be surrendered to a bigger masculine energy than herself. Because she usually is the biggest masculine energy in whichever room she goes to, right? So she still has that desire to be like surrendering to an even greater masculine energy. So, what we invite our clients to do is, and then there's, of course, we also call it, there's a doormat archetype as well. And the doormat is like soft on the outside, strong, soft on the inside. So she's like helpless. And then the CEO archetype is the coconut. And then we also have the cactus archetype, which is just like this edgy energy, unapproachable energy, stay away from me energy. So I think you're talking more about your CEO energy, right? Like it's like this high-powered energy. So what we say is all of these archetypes are invited then to be in their diva, goddess, feminine softness energy. And this is about being soft on the outside and strong on the inside. So we're going to reverse the coconut and we're going to say, what if there was the strength of steel and wood within you, but there was the softness and the flow of, a flower outside of you? Like that's real embodied feminine energy. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be assertive with attention. Like there are some of us who feel like in order to be important or high powered, we have to be the loudest person in the room, or we have to really fight for our rights, and we have to be in control. We have to lead. We have to like show it. Basically, it's about showing it. And so what we say is that what if you could just like let your guard down, be soft on the outside, knowing that within yourself you have your boundaries to protect you. So if I walk into a room, even if it's a business conference and you and I have been in one together, I don't desire to be seen as like the eight-figure love coach or, like I've been on Time Magazine and Forbes Magazine. Those are great achievements, by the way. I'm not like underplaying my achievements, but I know that when it comes to relationships, they really don't matter. What matters is how you make people feel, right? And that's the way to make a relationship. It's the same thing with men. It doesn't matter how high powered you are, how much money you make, what your achievements are. What's going to matter is how he feels in your presence. And if the shell is on, if the thorns are on, if the CEO archetype is on, he's not going to be able to feel you. So a lot of my clients struggle with this, embodiment of feminine energy, because work and, the professional world requires us to wear a mask. It requires us to keep our emotions on the side. Even when emotions come up, we're going to be told, keep emotions aside, they're not helpful at work. And so what happens is that persona that we train from 9 to 5, or as entrepreneurs, maybe not 9 to 5, all times, and whenever you feel like working, um, that then becomes hard to let go of and release and to show your true authentic self, which is the soft on the outside. Like your soft on the outside is not some rocket science. Soft on the outside is just you being relaxed and at ease with yourself and being who you are authentically. which can feel like rocket science to those of us who are so used to wearing a cloak or a mask in order to be strong, look strong. And I mean, I have deep compassion. I live in Europe. My husband is German. I live in Germany. But whenever I meet my clients, and I have a huge clientele from the United States, and a lot of C-suite women, a lot of like successful entrepreneurs, like sometimes I just want to give them a hug on my Zoom calls because I can see how tired they are, how exhausted they are, and how they are not giving themselves permission to feel and to just be. They always have to do something to prove their worth, and they always have to like be useful, be valuable, be of, like, can I help you? Can I rescue you? Can I do something for you? And I think when you take that cloak away and you just be vulnerable and you just be yourself, that is feminine softness. Like that is the way. So I have this little visual in Elevate where I tell my clients, after you come back from work, just like take the cloak off and then put on a nice pink dress or put on a nice golden dress, like whatever makes you feel good. Like put on a perfume. I personally wear this bracelet, pearl bracelet. It reminds me to be in my feminine. You can always touch it and feel it, and it brings you back into the present moment. And then remember that no woman wants to be soft and vulnerable if she feels unsafe. That's when the guard goes up again, right? Like, I don't want to like feel unsafe in my feminine energy. What if a man walks all over me? What if a man makes you like takes advantage of me? And that's where the strong on the inside comes in. So strong on the inside are your boundaries. Strong on the inside are your values. Strong on the inside is your ability to communicate and speak up for yourself when something doesn't sit well with you. So just following up on Elise's story, because we've spoken about it in so much detail on this interview. Elise was being soft on the outside, strong on the inside, because she sat there in a completely calm tone, in a loving tone, in a respectful tone, and asked for what she wanted and what was no longer going to work for her. So those were her boundaries, and she was embodying the Sammy Wonder way of being soft on the outside, strong on the inside. Now, very quickly, just to demonstrate how it could also look, it could look like hard on the outside and soft on the inside. And that would look like a woman sitting there and saying, "You're not proposing. You're not giving me the ring. You are a betrayer. You are such a bad guy. Like, you have fooled me all these years for the last 4 years. And, I just feel like really stupid sitting here. And, you're such a loser because you can't make up your mind." Now, that is hard on the outside, and it's soft on the inside because soft, she's hurting. She really wants this to work. She loves him, but she doesn't have a way of communicating it in a way that it will actually be received and land for the guy. So, does that help? Does that answer the question?
Yeah, totally. I think that, the thing that I often come back to and question myself is like, how do I hold my boundaries and my standards and what I desire from a relationship without being naggy, without feeling like it is coming from this like hard on the outside or like the director of the relationship role. Um, and there's like it's funny because there's like dichotomy to this where, I think about how so many women want men to anticipate our needs, but in the same time, in the same vein, like we also need to communicate what those are because no two women have the same needs. We might have similarities. And so I think like where I struggle and where I see a lot of people struggle in my life is like communicating what those needs are without it being from this like you were saying, like pointing the finger and like you harder type of energy that ends up coming off as either like taking control of the relationship or nagging your partner. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, I always notice, I'll come to your question, but just giving it some context. I noticed that the women who have attracted their men in Elevate Singles group and then go to the Elevate Relationships group, they have such an easy time with this because we teach you how to attract a man intentionally. And when you attract a man intentionally, you are so aware and mindful of every moment when a need is not being met, to communicate it in a loving way, and to also show that there are consequences to those needs not being met. Like you will not put a pink brush all over it. It doesn't matter. You know, I love you so much. It doesn't matter. No, it does matter. Okay. So when we are defining a new relationship, the dynamics of the new relationship will then go on to become entrenched later on in the relationship or marriage. That's why I have such an easy relationship with my husband because I did not give him a lot of leeway in the beginning. In the beginning, it was really like about my heart. And when the heart didn't feel good, he knew. And I communicated it, but without being a nagger or without being a bitch, just soft, soft. So it, of course, becomes different when women join the relationships group because now we're dealing with momentum. We're dealing with dynamics that are entrenched and that are not really healthy. So it is harder to not become a nagger when your relationship has a dynamic of you saying something and it not being received or heard, which causes you to feel like you have to repeat yourself multiple times in order to be heard, which then makes you a nagger, right? So we're dealing with very entrenched dynamics often in the relationships group where we're like, we only will give a recommendation once we've understood, like, okay, like what have the conversations been in the past? And when you had those conversations, were you consequent? Most women are not. So most women will just talk about it and then they'll go back to acting like things are normal, right? Every once in a while with Chris, I'll be like, by the way, that thing still needs to be resolved. Like I haven't forgotten it. Like, don't think that I just like going to wash a pink brush over it. So I think what you're talking about is the lack of the ability to walk away. And most women lack the ability to walk away. So most women do not really have a real consequence. So they end up nagging. And the funny thing about the ability to walk away is that you don't have to use it. You just need to have it. And this is the difference people don't understand. So a man who is taking you for granted, or a man who with whom you keep having the same repeated conversations, if you do this, then I will do this, or if you don't do this, then this will happen. In his subconscious mind, somewhere, he has understood that nothing bad will happen, even if he doesn't listen to you. So there's no sense of loss or threat involved. He can take you for granted, right? Whereas a man who feels your ability to walk away, remember, I'm not saying you have to utilize the ability to walk away, but who feels your ability to walk away is going to pay much closer attention to your needs, to your wants, to your requests, because he feels that within you. And I mean, I've been 11 years married, but I would say that my husband still feels my ability to walk away. And that's what makes him treat my heart like a rose petal, because he knows, like, I love him, but I'm also my person. And this person needs to feel good in this relationship in order for her to stay in this relationship or continue to stay in this relationship. So, a lot of the times when women are becoming naggers, there is some kind of entrenched dynamic there where he has started to take her words for granted. And so, it's a process of redefining the relationship, and it's totally possible, by the way. Like sometimes we've helped clients who've I remember this client, her husband always busy, so he's a husband always busy, never any time for intimacy, always like going off on his jet setting to Dubai and jet setting to Qatar, and then leaving the lady with the kids all the time. And she was like, how long is it going to take for me to turn around this dynamic? I see all your clients, your divas being treated like queens. And, I feel like, I'm here just serving the kids and like there's no romance, there's nothing special for me. And I was like, if you understand energy, it changes overnight. Like energy is not something that you have to read 100 books on or watch 500 YouTube videos before you shift it. Like energy shifts really fast. So I tell my clients, like, no matter what the dynamic is, once a woman is ready to turn things around and shift things in her relationship, energy literally changes on a dime. And men respond to the new energy. They notice the new energy. So for this client, her guy again came back, her husband, and she's like, I would really like to go out for dinner with you. I've been with the kids all week and you were away. He's like, I'm really tired after the flight. Um, and then she posted this on the group, Facebook group, Elevate group. And she's just like, I'm so tired. I'm so frustrated. I want to kill him. I just want to like slam something on his face. So selfish. And we were like, guess what? You put on your red dress and, ask a girlfriend if she wants to go out for dinner. Just go out. Like, don't like leave the kids with him and go out. And she did that. And for her, it was revolutionary because she was never like this diva type, she was more like the good girl. She was like, wow, I can do that. I'm like, yeah, just tell him, like, watch the kids. I watched them all week. And then she left. She went out for dinner and literally like textbook men. He writes to her a message when she's out. By the way, it's so attractive that you went out in that red dress by yourself and you look really good. When will you be back? We said, ignore that message. That man didn't take you out. Like, remove access, at least for this evening. And when she had such a great time, she had like a couple of champagne glasses, like two, three, and then she came back home feeling all happy. And then they had like the most amazing lovemaking night after months of no intimacy, right? So the idea here is to understand that energy shifts fast once you know how to shift it, and that's what we do with our clients. So I don't want any woman listening to this going, yeah, I resonate with all this and this is going to be hard work. It doesn't have to be, because you can shift the dynamic so fast when you know what you're doing.
This is so good. Oh my gosh, Sammy, you're a queen. I have been loving this conversation. So I know that you have two different resources to gift my audience, but before we do that, are you down to do just like two rapid fire questions before we
Oh
wrap?
my God, hit me. Yes.
Okay, amazing. So just based on this whole conversation, what are like the top three feminine traits to attract a high quality masculine man?
I would say start receiving from men without feeling like you constantly have to give back in the same proportion.
Mm,
So become the receiver, the key receiving energy in the relationship. Number two would be to tune into your emotions more. Feminine is feeling, it's not logical and thinking, which is what masculine is. And last but not the least, I would talk about authenticity slash transparency slash vulnerability. It's all very nuanced, but I would say that your ability to speak your truth, be
mm,
your truth, live your truth, but in a soft and kind way is feminine energy. And
mm.
it's very attractive to men.
I love that. So good. Okay. And then on the other side of the spectrum, what is one thing that we need to cut out immediately that we might be doing as a high power woman to be able to attract a high quality man?
I think mothering and overgiving and rescuing men and treating men like they're little babies who need your help all the time is a very toxic trait that kills desire, that kills polarity, that makes him feel like he's your child versus your hero. So resist the urge to help, rescue, fix men, and treat them like Hercules. Would you help Hercules? I don't think so. So just treat like every man who comes your way as Hercules. Like treat him as capable, treat him as an adult. He doesn't need your help. He can figure things out by himself.
So good. Easier said than done sometimes. Okay, Sammy, this has been absolutely incredible. So again, you have two separate resources. I know personally I am going to be downloading the one for relationships, but can you share for everybody listening, literally everyone listening can take advantage of this. What are the two different gifts that you have for my audience today?
Hey, thank you. So I have one for your single women, a mini course on early dating mastery, because early dating is where most women give up, most women get discouraged, and I want to show them that there is a path that works with repeatable success for my clients. So this is a mini course with 5-10 minute videos called Early Dating Mastery for your single divas, your single clients. And for women in relationships, we have Get Him Obsessed. And I know the title sounds very clickbaity, but it's really about getting him obsessed. And I want women to believe that it's possible to be in a relationship where you are just adored. He's all over you. He can't get enough of you. He thinks the world of you. He's willing to do everything for you in a reasonable and healthy way, of course. And this is another mini course of 5 videos, 10 minutes each. And this is where I showed women the behaviors they need to stop doing and the behaviors they need to start doing to have this kind of emotional, deep emotional and physical connection with their guy.
So good. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for your generosity. Thank you so much for being on the show. For everybody listening, we're going to link it in the show notes. We'll also link where we can find you. So if you want to just shout out how we can connect with you, that would be awesome as well.
So the only thing you have to get right is my spelling of my name because then I am everywhere on the internet. So Sammy Wonder is Samiwunder. It's a German word for wonder, so it's Wunder. And you can find me on my website. You can book a free consultation with my team if you want personalized support with us or to join Elevate. You can find me on YouTube. So much amazing content there for free videos. You can find me on Instagram at Sammy Wonder Code. Say hi if you found me through Ava and let me know in the DMs. So I'm everywhere. Come follow me and say hi.
Thank you so much, Sammy. This has been so good. I've really enjoyed this conversation and